This episode of FineScale Modeler's new product rundown features an Intrepid offering from Gallery, Academy MRC's MH-60S, Trumpeter's GAZ-66, decals from Bombshell, Furball, and Vagabond, and tools from Xuron. Hi, and welcome to another episode of FineScale Modeler's new product rundown. I'm Tim Kidwell.
And I'm Aaron Skinner. Now, I know a lot of you really enjoyed our Halloween special we did last time with our comrades Megan and Jenny.
But they didn't want to make this their permanent shtick. So you're stuck with us. However, don't go anywhere because we've got a packed show for you.
Starting with a subject which, at least according to FSM's Most Wanted Kit surveys, should be very popular.
We're talking about Gallery models 1/350th scale USS Intrepid.
Now, to be clear, there have been 1/350th scale Essex-class carriers before.
But this marks the first post-war angled deck carrier we've seen from a mainstream manufacturer.
Commissioned in 1943, Intrepid served throughout the Pacific in World War II, surviving several kamikaze strikes.
In 1956-57, the ship received the angled deck, which brought it up to date and made it capable of handling modern jets.
Ultimately, after 20 more years of service, including 3 deployments to Vietnam, Intrepid got a new lease on life as a museum ship in New York City.
Intrepid is a big ship, so this is a big model. The hull and flight deck, both one-piece items, are almost 2.5 feet long.
The moldings are first class. The decks feature tie-downs, arrestor gear, and catapults.
Despite the size, the kit has surprisingly few plastic parts, primarily focused on bigger details.
Styrene is used for the hangar deck, superstructure, gun tubs, props and shafts, and a lot of structural components and equipment.
Gallery uses photo-etched metal for the small items. There are 6 frets here.
In addition to the usual railings, ladders, and stairs, the brass frets include the framework under the elevators and deck edges, cranes, safety nets, radar dishes, and antennas.
This is a carrier, so let's talk about aircraft. The kit includes 4 each of F-8 Crusaders, A-4 Skyhawks, EA-1F Sky Raiders, and UH-2 Sea Sprites.
2 E-1 Tracer airborne early warning aircraft round out the 1960s air wing.
All of the planes are beautifully molded in gray plastic with fine panel lines and separate landing gear.
Unfortunately, other than the helicopters, there's no provision to model the wings folded. Careful cutting should do the trick.
Decals are provided to mark the aircraft, including tail codes and national insignia.
The rest of the sheet provides all of the deck striping.
This is a terrific looking model of a very big ship.
Outstanding.
Next, let's take a look at Academy MRC's latest 1/35th scale Blackhawk, the MH-60S.
Yeah, since its initial release in 2001, Academy and MRC have gotten a lot of mileage out of these big helicopter kits.
They sure have. This is the 6th in the line, and it looks just as good as any of the previous offerings.
Now, if you're wondering what exactly an MH-60S is, well, the answer is it's kind of a Frankenstein.
It combines the Army UH-60's airframe with the Navy's SH-60 rotor and engine.
Yeah, so it's a navalized Black Hawk designed to replace the CH-46, but do even more than the Sea Knight.
In addition to supply and transport and search and rescue operations, it also does special operations support and anti-surface warfare missions.
The kit contains the basic Academy MRC Black Hawk, including the long fuselage halves, floor, and ceiling, as well as the interior and engine parts.
In addition, there's the tail and other parts from the MH-60G Pavehawk and the weapon sprue from the AH-60 Deep Action Penetrator.
New here are rotor blades with molded hinges, a modern glass instrument panel and other equipment for the cockpit, and replacement doors.
This is a Navy aircraft, so striking markings are the name of the game. 3 MH-60Ss are featured, 1 each from Helicopter Combat Squadrons 9, 21, and 28.
A model this big and colorful is sure to turn heads on your display shelf or a contest table.
Moving on to the armor side of things, let's take a look at Trumpeter's new 1/35th scale GAZ-66.
Noted for its rugged reliability, this 4-wheel drive light truck served the Soviet and later the Russian armies for about 30 years, beginning in the mid-1960s.
Thousands are still in military use throughout the world, and many more have found their way onto the civilian market.
Typical of Trumpeter's military vehicle kits, the GAZ-66 is crammed with detail and terrific molding.
Look at the sharp detail on the one-piece cabin canvas cover. It's the kind of crisp molding that pops under painting and weathering.
Detail abounds in the engine, which has separate manifolds, cylinder heads, and plumbing.
The cab follows suit with detailed door inner surfaces, seats, pedals, dashboard with decal instruments, and even a fire extinguisher.
Chassis, suspension, axles, and drivetrain get the same attention.
The cargo bed looks good too, with the option to pose the seats open or stowed. There's wood texture on the planking and bows for the cover.
Photoetch Metal supplies fan belts, radiator grille, bumpers, tie-downs, and other small bits.
Except for the doors, most of the exceptionally thin, clear windows are designed to drop in from outside, which will make painting easier.
Soft vinyl tires and a tiny decal sheet round out the contents.
There's not much in the way of markings,
Paint it green, add a number plate.
but it all adds up to a really neat-looking soft skin.
I love decals, especially when I come across a set that makes me want to build something that I might not have considered before.
Like you need any more projects.
Well, granted, but I can dream, right? Anyway, we received a few sets that kind of grabbed my attention, starting with a set for 1/48 scale PV1 Venturas.
In Sirens of the Sea, Bombshell Decals gives us 7 options with and without nose art on a sheet printed by Cartograph.
Perfect for Revell's recent 1/48 scale kit. Perfect for a pair of other new releases are 3 sets of decals for F9F and TF9 Cougars, designed for Kitty Hawk's recent offerings.
These come from Furball Aero-Design in cooperation with Detail and Scale. Air Wing All-Stars Cougar Trainer CAGs features 9 two-seaters.
If that isn't enough, Cougar Trainers offers 11 more TF9Js in U.S. Navy markings.
And if the Blue Angels are your thing, check out the 3rd sheet with 8 single-seat Cougars flown by the display team between 1955 and 56. There are also a couple of 2-seaters from later years.
A highlight of Furball decals is the documentation that comes with the sets, including a description of the aircraft and 4-view color diagrams.
Speaking of display teams, check out this recent release from Vagabond Decals, T-Birds with Talons. Features 73 options.
Yep. Designed for the Wolfpack 1/48 scale kit, it covers every iteration of the T-38 in U.S. Air Force Thunderbird service, from training through the Diamond crash during training in 1982.
Printed by Cartograph, the decals are accompanied by good documentation tracing the history of the jet's markings.
Now all I need is a Ventura, Cougar, and T-38, and I'll see you guys in a couple months.
No, we're not done here.
We're not?
No.
Oh, that's right. We're going to take a look at a couple of new tools from Xuron. Xuron sent us a couple of their hand tools, so we figured we'd show them to you in action.
First up, the professional Sprue cutter, which incorporates micro-shear technology.
That means, at least according to the package, that the blades actually slightly cross each other as they meet. This gives a very clean cut.
You can see how well they work here.
These tools, like everything else I've tried from Xuron, just feel great. They have a nice cushioned handle and the closing mechanism is very smooth.
Next is the professional Photoetch scissors.
These are designed to cleanly cut thin steel and brass used for most Photoetch metal.
The scissor blades come to a very sharp point.
Be very, very careful handling them and always put the protective cover back on after use.
The point is perfect for getting into tight spots on crowded frets.
It's also great for cutting thin sheet metal, like the scrap frets from an old set, that you might use for scratch building.
Again, this tool, it operates smoothly and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of the process.
Well, that about wraps up this episode, which is our 50th, right, Tim?
It is. Happy us.
Woohoo! Look for a review of the Intrepid in an upcoming issue of FineScale Modeler magazine.
And you can see these and other new products in the December issue, on sale now.
Thanks for visiting FineScale.com. I'm Aaron Skinner.
And I'm Tim Kidwell. We'll see you next time.
Cheers. See, I knew you were not going to be able to do that without laughing.
Sorry.